Hey besties, welcome back to the Cozy Corner. It's your girl Jen, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm just a regular old college student at Cal State Dominguez, but if you're not new here, welcome back to the chaos. I will say I'm actually really excited to film this video. I've been thinking about it since last night. So honestly, like you girl, it has ADHD. It's probably gonna go out of my brain within 2 seconds, but like as it's currently standing, this thought is still in my brain. And so I figured why not make things fun and talk about some books, talk about a couple of duologies, if you will, to convince you to read them if you haven't already. These books, I'm not quite sure how not like highly rated, but like how many ratings these two books have on Goodreads. I'll have them linked up here, but I feel like personally not enough people are reading them, and so I just feel like I should take the responsibility as an avid reader of fantasy and romantasy and the girly pops that do it right, the authors that I appreciate that do it right, and to talk about it with you guys and be like, you guys should read these fucking books because, of course, I just know all the answers. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around. But I also figured it is indeed my day off. It is Sunday, and I want to do some TLC, some tender loving care from my toes and my nails. And so while I'm talking to you guys, you all are going to see my dogs out, and I'm going to be painting my nails. And so let's get into it. So these two books, well, two series rather. One is currently like they're both duologies, but one is apparently going to be a trilogy. We'll talk about that in a second. But like we have the One Dark Window and the Shepherd King duology. Sorry, we have the One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, both part of the Shepherd King duology by Rachel Gillig. These two books had my heart like just stopping in the middle of nowhere. Like I won't lie, I had to read these two books within one sitting. I literally spent 2 days devouring these two books, and let me just tell you why. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and put on a top coat of, actually I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and put the clear coat on my toes, and then I'll get my foot in the little heater thing, and then like we'll get back into the story, right? So all right, so now that the first set of toes are in the oven, let's talk about the first book, One Dark Window. This follows a girly pop named Elsie, no, not Elsie Silver, Elspeth, what is her last name? Let me actually, Elspeth Spindle. I won't lie, in my head I was having a hard time like pronouncing this word, and so as of course I'm speaking, I'm having even harder times pronouncing this word because Elspeth is not a very common English name. Well, not English, but like American English name. So I'm just like, I don't really know. My words are tripping up over themselves. But being besides the point, we're following Elspeth Spindle, who lives in the town of Blunder in a world where magic just kind of runs rampant. We have this like forest who has like a bunch of crazy, creepy crawlies that have that like roam inside of it, but also in this forest, there's this mist that kind of like drives everybody crazy. But also in this world, there's kind of like this plague that kind of gives people magic if they should survive. Like, I'm talking flu, COVID, tuberculosis, like everybody's going through it. But if they should survive, they tend to have a magic power afterwards that develops in the form of whatever it does. But there are some, what do you call it? There's like a caveat, right? So the more this person who survived this cold, this plague, whatever you want to call it, the more they use their magic, the more something bad happens. Like there's always a consequence, right? But also in this world, there's a deck of tarot cards where it's kind of interesting where it's like there's 12 sets of cards. Each card has a set of cards, if that makes sense. So it's like the maiden card, maybe there's 7 of those. The there's another set of cards where there's like 7 of those. Like I'm having a very, very hard time articulating this, but it's like it's kind of like the 12 Days of Christmas Carol, where it's like 5 golden rings, 2 turtle doves, a partridge in a pear tree. Like that last one, the I want to say it's called the Elder Tree card. There's only one of its kind in existence, and actually nobody has this card. So while everyone's going through crazy land, trying to survive the plague, they're also kind of outcasted. They're also kind of like hunted down for their existence because they survived this plague. And so here's your prize. You get to die real quick because this magic is wild and it's not trustable, right? It's kind of like when people still had, or rather, when people had iPhones for the very, very first time, but like Samsung had, I guess, a better like chance of not exploding in your house, and so everyone was more like on the Samsung side, whereas now iPhone is kind of like the what do you call it, the leading, I guess, company brand, at least in America, where everyone has one because it's more trustable, even though the battery like runs out in a second. But being besides the point, I don't know if I'm articulating this correctly, but people in this world tend to trust the tarot cards more because their magic is more stable. There's a less chance of somebody getting hurt. Like there is still a consequence, but it's able to be monitored. And I'll tell you guys what those are in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and paint my other toes with the top coat, or again, whatever you want to call it, the clear coat that goes on the bottom, and then the 2 paints that go on the top, and then the top coat that goes over it. Like I'm gonna do that first real quick to get that little bottom coat on, and then I'll come back to you guys in a second. I'm not really good at this, guys. I'm so sorry. I had like this great idea, and now I'm just like, well, I'm screwing up and I'm stumbling over my words. But what else is new in the house of Jen? So as I've said, these tarot cards, also known in this world as Providence cards, there's 12 total types, but each type only has a certain amount. Like I said, the Elder card only has one of it. There's only one card in existence. The other cards, we call it. Let me actually get what I'm talking about right. Okay, apparently ChatGPT doesn't know what the fuck it's talking about, but I will at least say like what kinds of cards there are, because apparently Chat doesn't know how many cards there are, and I don't currently have the books to be like, hey, there's 7 maiden cards, there's 1 elder card, etc., etc. So the twin elders cards, what it does is it grants protection from the infection that, like I said, this world has like a plague. It grants protection from that plague, and it allows the safe use of multiple Providence cards at once. Currently in the first book, there is no mention of where this outer card is. Like I said, there's only one in existence, but nobody has it in possession, and nobody knows how they could attain it. So certain characters in this world are kind of like curious about like how to get it. So the scythe, the maiden rather, this card enhances the physical traits of like beauty, strength, health, and endurance. People don't actually know about the health benefit, so they mostly use this card for like enhancing your beauty, becoming like very, very powerful, like beauty wise, and very conventionally attractive beauty standards within this world. But in exchange for using its power, the user doesn't like they become like very, very cold-hearted. Their heart kind of becomes like a heart of stone while they're using this card, but if they don't use it for a while, I'm pretty sure that like those feelings come back. The scythe grants the ability to kill with a single touch. There is like a severe physical toll and a shortened lifespan apparently. So there are certain characters in this world. I think there's like 4 scythe cards in existence, I want to say, and each there's like this specific family where each of their relatives, like I guess like current living relatives, are able to use these cards. But it's basically like a sense of protection. Like it's literally called the scythe. It's able to like, I guess, protect the user against not evil, but like anybody trying to like attack them. We also have the chalice. This chalice card is basically used as like truth serum. Whoever drinks from the chalice card has to either say a truth or no, I think that's it. They literally just have to like to tell the truth. I want to say the cost. Oh, so in this book, I guess it's kind of said that like whoever doesn't tell the truth based on the asked question, they kind of like become very like physically ill, and I guess they can kind of like become very, very close to death if they don't tell the truth. The key, I won't lie, there wasn't a whole lot of mentions of this card within the story, but apparently it unlocks any door or barrier, physical or magical. The cost is a loss of memory and identity erosion. So, schizophrenics, here we go, let's go. There's also the ring. Again, one of those things that weren't really mentioned in the book, but like I guess it exists, right? It compels obedience and truth from others, kind of like the chalice, but more direct, like, hey, put this ring on you, like, let me just, like, tell me what's going on. The cost is a loss of autonomy and emotional numbness, kind of very, very similar to the maiden card. Again, this is all according to chat. I have not done my own research because it's been a hot minute since I've read the book, and so like I just want to have my stuff in order, right? The well, it's mentioned a few times in this book, but I don't think anybody actually currently owns or like, I guess, has use of the well right now. So apparently, it reveals hidden knowledge and buried truths, and that it causes a psychological damage, obsession, and madness. Moving on, right? So the mirror card, it has been mentioned a few times in the series. Again, I don't really know like what it does, though, I'm not gonna lie. It allows the user to see another person's true nature or hidden self, and the cost is a disassociation and loss of self-recognition. The nightmare card, there's only one card. No, there's 2 cards. ChatGPT is incorrect. Technically there's 1 card. We'll get into it in a second, but there's 2 cards in existence. Basically, it allows the user to like enter somebody's mind and either control it and or see their person's thoughts. The cost of it though is a complete loss of control. The Shepherd King, I think there's like 2 or 3. I'm sorry, the Shepherd the Shepherd card, there we go. It allows controller influence over the infected individuals. Like I said, again, there's a plague in this world, right? But the cost is a moral corruption and emotional detachment. The candle, um, It reveals hidden paths, people or objects, and the cost is gradual blindness. And the grave. It allows people to communicate with the dead or echoes of the past, and the cost is life draining and emotional decay. I just wanted to get that all out of the way so you kind of like understand like these cards do very different things. And so specific characters in this world, Elspeth, for example, are able to well, not Elspeth exactly, but like certain characters are able to use these cards in existence. And like a lot of times because the king kind of like I don't know what I'm talking about at this point, but like certain characters within like the royal family, high people in society, etc., they're able to use these cards and they tend to pass them down through their family. Elspeth Spindle caught the plague when she was really young. Like she definitely survived it, but her family was trying to keep her from being discovered so that she could survive, right? So her, I guess, magical power that she I guess attained from the plague is to uh what do you call it? Like transfer of power or suck the life out of or suck the magic out of any card that she touches. And so one day she was in her father's study and accidentally like well, not accidentally got curious, but like she got curious and she went into her father's like desk drawer or whatever and pulled out the nightmare card. She's like oohing and awing over it. She's like, this is so cool. But something happens, right? So she accidentally sucks the life, the magic, whatever you want to call it, right, out of this card. And now we find this out later, but like now she has what's called the nightmare inside of her brain. So she is sharing her whole sanity, her whole brain with this nightmare, and she basically just has a voice in the back of her head. That's the reason I wanted to talk about the cards first and then just explain like the nightmare card. I don't know if any of this made sense, but like I hope it did. I hope you're following along, right? At this point, we only have Elspeth, right? We're kind of like following the narratives or the demographics, the what do you call it, dynamics, there we go, that's the word I was looking for, between her Elspeth and her family. She does have a sibling that is apparently supposed to get married off to this wealthy guy. I believe he's like the king's son. I could be totally wrong though. So her family is all getting ready for this journey to travel to the royal palace so that her sister can get married, you know, a whole bunch of like festivities and parties and balls and whatever have you, right? So while they're at this ball, I guess her sister's marriage gift was the maiden card, and I guess her sister's very like minimally attractive, at least conventional wise. She's got a gap between her teeth, she's got curly like I think strawberry blonde hair. She's just like apparently like in the story she's not cute, right? So she has the maiden card and it has all of her features, but the only thing is her betrothed, there we go, is very much an asshole. And apparently later he throws the nightmare, or no, he throws the maiden card out the window essentially, and hides it so that the sister can't turn it off. And so the sister becomes very like cold-hearted, un not unbeknownst, but like she can't control it, right? She wants to turn it off but she can't, right? um the thing is, the reason that this guy did this was so that she could become more cold like him, because this guy's a fucking asshole. He's cheating on her, he's beating her, he's abusing her, etc. Apparently he throws her out the window, but because the maiden card can heal people, she doesn't die, but she has to just like stay there, like just broken bones, paralyzed, looking up at the stars. There's like this very specific scene that's very graphic, and she ends up surviving, but it like completely like destroys her body, etc. Moving on, in this story, there's also what are called the Highwaymen. I know there's a lot going on right now. It's all gonna tie together in the end, I promise. The Highwaymen are basically trying to collect all of the Providence cards, at least one card from every set, so that they can basically destroy the mist and destroy like the Providence cards and destroy like the forest that's like driving everyone crazy, right? That's their mission. And so the Highwaymen, the reason that they're called this is that in the middle of the night on specific days of the week, whenever they're like following their what do you call it, their targets, I guess you could call them, they basically like jump them and like mug them from their cards and then they move the fuck on, right? So like the people that are victims of this thing are just like kind of like flabbergasted. They're like, what the fuck, bro? Like you really just like stole from me? That's crazy. But also like now my ass is beat and I'm kind of just like knocked out in the snow, right? So Elspeth ends up getting kind of like mixed up within these Highwaymen. She kind of sees her cause. She's like, I fucks with it. I'm trying to help you guys out. The love interest, his name is Rowin, I believe his name is Rowin. Very reminiscent of Rowin Whitethorn. I will say the first book at least kind of touches on their relationship, but the second story, the second book, Two Twisted Crowns, follows a completely different set of characters. But the entirety of book one is just Elspeth trying to join the Highwaymen to gather all of these cards so that she can, help them destroy the mist and like all the baddie stuff. Basically, magic won't be around anymore if these cards should come to fruition, if their plan should come to fruition. The second book kind of follows more the sister. Her name is, I believe, Ione, Ione. I don't know if I'm spelling or pronouncing this correctly, but there's this character, I want to say his name is Elm, ELM. It follows more their story. It kind of still touches on Elspeth and the Nightmare and Rowin's story, but it kind of like goes back and forth between them because they both have separately like two different missions or a couple of different missions. I will say I think that the second book follows a couple of different points of views just so that everybody's like in different places, so they all want to make sure that the story's, going in consistently random. And so basically throughout the story, Elm and Ione are trying to like get her maiden card back because she still doesn't have it back. She's still like insanely beautiful. But while Elm is falling for Ione, she literally can't feel anything for him. And so they're trying to find the card so that Ione can, prosper emotionally, right? You know what I'm saying? And so at the very end, they get their own happily ever after. Elspeth and the Nightmare card do separate eventually due to a specific thing. You also meet the Shepherd King, which is the person who created all of these Providence cards. I won't say much else because it is a huge spoiler, but you'll just have to read it yourself. I will say the relationship between Elspeth and the Nightmare is just insanely quirky. Like, there has never been a more sassy character in somebody's brain. Like, I will say there are so many familiars and like sassy plant stories and sassy like little familiar characters in the story, but like this person in the back of your head, like, she's not schizophrenic, this is not a mental illness, but it does touch on the differences, not the differences, but it kind of like touches the gray area of like how someone can be, for example, schizophrenic, where they have a voice in the back of their head, like, it does touch on mental illness in that way. But basically, yeah, I highly recommend this story to literally anybody. I will say my favorite part about the first book was that literally each chapter there was like a section, a paragraph, of passage, there we go, from the I guess the Shepherd King like book. It was kind of like a diary where like it gave you bits and pieces of like literally poem style rhyming of like what the different cards did. But also there's like, it's mentioned a few times, but there's like a specific passage phrase where the like Elspeth and the Nightmare are kind of like talking to each other, where it's like, oh, I'm having a hard time articulating, like, it's so good, but it just, I want to say what made me cry. I want to look it up real quick, hold on. Okay, literally how annoying. Again, my toes are in the oven at the moment, but apparently ChatGPT says that it's copyright and so it can't tell me. But essentially there's this phrase where Elspeth and the Nightmare are kind of like talking, and it's a rhyming phrase. I can't really describe it, and I don't have the actual book on me right now. Again, everything's in storage, but it's kind of like, I can't describe it, but it's very emotional. It's very like just whimsical, and that's what I really love about Rachel Gillick's writing. It sounds so fucking stupid, but it's like what I remember specifically is like the girl, the nightmare, and the monster they became. That last line just, Elspeth has to make so many fucking tough decisions, and having the nightmare in her head being like, listen, you can do this, like just pushing her to make like those decisions that are very, very hard. It's very emotional. I will say I was crying a couple minutes, and I'm so mad that I can't fucking remember the phrase. The passage rather. If you guys remember, if you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about, put it down in the comments so I can talk, like, so I can reply and be like, thank you so fucking much. But yeah, regardless, both of these fucking books, I've been yapping for too fucking long at this point, and I really do want to get into the Phantasma and Enchantra currently duology, but like I said, it's gonna be a trilogy as of this year. But I highly recommend going to read the One Dark One No duology, also known as the Shepherd's King duology. I just figured I wanted to get on here and yap a little bit, but I want to move the fuck on. So let's get into the Wicked Games trilogy, I guess you can call it currently, because I guess Demonica is going to be coming out this year. But first, I'm gonna go paint my other set of toes, and I will be right back in a second. Okay, so the toes are in the oven. The Wicked Games trilogy by Kaylee Smith, I will say, is like the first time that I actually had visceral, emotionally provocative, I guess, reactions. Like, more so in Enchantra, but Phantasma was still awesome too. So we're following two sisters. I don't think they're twins, but their names are Genevieve and Ophelia. Ophelia is the eldest, and Genevieve is kind of like younger. I'm not sure how much their age gap is, but these two siblings at the beginning lose their mother to, I want to say it's an illness, but I could be totally wrong. But they end up losing, the whole point is like they lose their mom, right? In Ophelia and Genevieve's family, the eldest sister, the eldest daughter of each generation, inherits this necromancy powers. So after Ophelia's mom passes away, Ophelia kind of like partakes in this ritual to gain these not these nightmares. I'm so sorry. I'm still thinking about Wonderful Window. She gains these necromancer powers on the way to some meeting that the two sisters have like the next day, or like after their mom is like down in the I guess morgue, I guess you could say. They're like currently dealing with some stuff, right? Post death shenanigans, right? The sisters end up finding out that their mom left them a huge sum, not of inheritance, of debt. And apparently Genevieve has known about this whole time, and she's been trying to take care of it in whatever the fuck ways she's been trying to take care of it. And so but Ophelia doesn't know anything about this, right? So Ophelia and Genevieve end up having a big fight. I'm sorry, Genevieve like runs off, and apparently Genevieve decides that she's gonna join Phantasma. You know what Phantasma is? It's basically the Hunger Games, but like inside this manor. And so in the meantime, Ophelia's like, where the fuck is my sister at? Like, I thought she was supposed to be home hours ago. Like, what's going on? So she ventures out into the night, and she ends up passing by basically like this alley. Her being a necromancer, she's able to find these like, not able to find, but like she's able to see like the other side, right? So there's a couple of like ghosty characters that are like hanging out in this alley. She ends up having a conversation with them, and the next day she enrolls in Phantasma. It's very similar to Caraval, where one of the two sisters ended up going missing. The other sister joins Caraval to try and get her back, right? I forget these two sisters' names, so that's not really important. But Ophelia ends up joining, like I said, in Phantasma, and throughout this entire time she's trying to find her sister, but she can't do it until, like, I guess there's two sets of Phantasma games going on at once, and at the end whoever survives ends up competing against each other to win whatever the fuck prize it is, right? I will say my favorite trial game situation, I guess, that's happening has to be the one where it's very like reminiscent of, I want to say, Resident Evil, right? You know how like in every single Resident Evil movie there's a scene where like these lasers are happening, and like someone has to like evade the laser to try and like avoid getting their arms cut off or something like that. Like, I'm having a hard time articulating this shit, guys. I'm so sorry. But in one of the games there's a couple of like different contestants that are trying to cross this like, I guess, landmine, you could say. And if they step on the wrong thing, or if they don't stay on this certain square or something like that, they end up like basically losing their life, because this laser ends up popping out of nowhere and get like, kills them or whatever. Certain characters in the story that are participating in Phantasma don't have magic, don't have like any powers, and so Ophelia, unbeknownst to her, has like a special advantage using being able to use her being able to use her necromancy powers. She also ends up meeting this phantom, who becomes her freaking lover. It's so awesome. You end up finding out who he really is later, but I will say their relationship's really cute. He's like very, I don't want to say he's sassy, but he's very much like Ophelia's the sassy one in my opinion, to be honest. But he's the one that keeps her grounded throughout this whole thing. He's like, hey, you're gonna find your sister. I'm gonna help you, and he ends up like helping her along in the Phantasma. Like, he's kind of just there, right? But also at night, these certain events happen that are caused by, like, I guess your greatest fear. Like, if somebody doesn't like spiders, like there's gonna be huge freaking spiders in the hallway, I guess, to scare you or whatever. And it's meant to keep you it's meant to either kill you or like keep you from being like very I guess brave, I guess, to participate in the next game. But anyways, at the very end of this book, everything is solved. Of course, Ophelia and Genevieve are able to get back together. They end up like, I guess, making up and kissing and making up. The Phantom, I forget his fucking name. It doesn't really matter at this point. Him and Ophelia end up like moving in together. It's a whole thing, and Ophelia kind of understands that Genevieve is very, very young. She wants her to be able to live a life of having adventure and being able to be like a young woman. And so at the very end, Ophelia and the Phantom scrounge up the money. I guess like all of their debts are gone or something like that, but end up scrounging up money to send Genevieve on an all expense paid trip to France. And I'll leave you with that for a second while I, do my second coat of nail polish and whatever. Give me a second. So in Enchantra, the story immediately begins with Genevieve traveling to France with her all expenses paid trip. I'm not quite sure how long the trip is supposed to last, but it ends up getting extended a significant amount of time. Genevieve has ulterior motives though. She ends up going to Paris with a what do you call it? With a plan to get to know her mom, her late mother, right? So apparently her mom left them with a bunch of like mysteries that to figure out. And they're all both Genevieve and Ophelia are like, what the fuck's going on? Ophelia is kind of just like, I'll figure it out whenever it's supposed to matter, I guess. And whereas Genevieve is more like, I want to know more. I want to know why. I want to figure out what the fuck's going on. And I want to find somebody that I can relate to. Honestly, same. So she ends up traveling to, I guess, like she found a picture of her mother with some random person way back when. Not way back when, but like before she ended up going on this trip to Paris. And so, or to France rather. So she ends up hiring some guy to like travel with her or to rather like cab her, I guess, to deliver her. I'm having a hard time articulating, you guys. I'm so sorry. To like this random manor. The thing is though, apparently Genevieve has like these powers to see beyond what can't be seen by a regular person. So while they're traveling and they stop at this manor, the person who is guiding her, there we go, doesn't see like much beyond this manor. He sees like basically like a field of nothing, whereas Genevieve sees like the actual manor, the gates, the beautiful castle that there is to see, right? So the guy is like, are you sure this is the right place? Like, I know we just traveled a couple of hours to go, find this place, but like I can drive you back. I don't really care. Like, you don't have to pay me anything more. It's whatever. But she's like, no, I'm in the right place. Don't worry about it. He's like, all right, you're literally in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing out here, but also whatever the fuck is not my problem. So he ends up leaving. I'm gonna do the other coat real quick and then I'll be right back. So he ends up leaving Genevieve to her random young person wilds. He ends up going off to do whatever the fuck he's gonna do for the day. And Genevieve ends up sneaking into this manor. Of course, like I said, like it's a gated manor. You're not supposed to be able to go in. She doesn't know the access code. She just kind of sneaks in, right? Technically, she's not supposed to be there, and some random person who lives there ends up seeing her and kicks her the fuck out, uses the help of his familiar fox made of shadow. Yeah, we got some shadow daddies up in this hoe, of course, as we fucking should. And little Genevieve, while being told not to come back, not to return, she's like, no, I literally traveled all this fucking way to get answers. Y'all are gonna give me these fucking answers. She ends up staying. And unbeknownst to her, she ends up getting trapped in these Enchantra games. She doesn't know, she didn't know. People were trying to warn her. They couldn't tell her what was going on. And so she kind of goofed up. She's just a girl, if I can say so myself. So this guy, I won't lie, I don't know his fucking name. It could even be Rowin, but I could just be fucking forgetting. It doesn't matter at this point. I'm gonna say the MMC, right? The MMC is kind of like has no choice but to take her under his wing. He's an immortal. He's whatever the fuck. Like he has this whole family. I will say it's very reminiscent of the originals. If you loved the dynamic but relationships between us, not a single, an only daughter surrounded by a household of boys, yeah, Rebecca, Klaus Michelson, Elias, whatever the fuck the rest of the characters' names are, doesn't matter. It's very reminiscent of that, where like they're all very immortal, they're all very cranky bastards, they all fucking hate life, but they have no choice but to keep on living. They're apparently their father made a deal with the devil, as one does, right? Youth in their shenanigans. Apparently, he made a deal with the devil a long time ago, and now the devil, well, the demon rather, is, I guess, he's very bored. He ends up having like these Hunger Games style, not really, not as like all out as Phantasma is compared to the Hunger Games, but very like closed within a single, like, I guess, house. But he ends up having these Hunger Games style trials every year called Enchantra. Between these siblings, I forget how many there are, one is last standing, and the rest of them they end up losing by dying, and they're sent to the underworld to serve as this demon's servants for like an entire year. And whoever wins, like, it's basically just like the year of freedom to themselves in a house by themselves. I kind of like, I fucks today. I'm like, you know what? If all y'all aren't gonna get this place to yourself, I fucking am. Best believe. But yeah, so these trials happen, I guess, every year or I want to say it's every year or it could be every 10 years. I don't fucking know. But regardless, Genevieve has found herself in the middle of these games to keep herself alive because she's not supposed to be there or participate. But now she has no choice because she's stuck there. The MMC makes a deal with her to make her his fake bride. No, fake husband. Make her his fake wife. There we go. So this is a marriage of convenience. This is a fake marriage. technically it's meant to keep her alive, it's whatever, but the guy, the demon, doesn't believe it, right? He's like, something fishy going on here, but I don't care because we're gonna make it fun as fuck, let me just tell you. So they end up like pairing up together. This demon keeps very close to her because he's trying to keep her alive. Siblings are kind of like torn between, do I keep her alive or kill her outright to get her the fuck out of here? But also, that's his wife, yada yada yada. Like, they understood what the fuck's going on. At the end of this book, something happens. I won't lie. Something very, very tragic happens. And I won't lie, this is the same book that I was giddy, keeping my feet, yelling, exclaiming, crying, being like, no, 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 don't do this to me. Like, I was very, like, exclamatory, like, outwardly, if that makes sense. And so my roommates were literally being the ones to be like, Jen, are you good up in there? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm okay. It's this book. Let me tell you. Also, yay. So at the very end of this book, I will say, like, the last 50 to 100 pages, something like that, something happens and Genevieve loses her memory. This is like a minor spoiler. They do get their HEA, but what the MMC has to do to get her to remember, it's very fucking tragic. She like goes through hell and back and now doesn't remember anything. And it's torturous because I'm like, no, y'all went through all of that to not be together. No, don't do this to me. It's very reminiscent of Pen Pal, where like there's a very, very big twist at the very end. And so, whatever the fuck happens, but it's very different, right? It's a plot twist that is like, what the fuck is this? Why? Why did you do this to me, Gately Smith? This is not okay. And so in order to get her memories back, basically the MMC has to give her a ring, but he can't just give it to her and say, will you marry me? No, we can't just have that shit be that simple. She has to accept it willingly without him asking, like without him giving it to her. So how it happens, I'll let you, go back, do it yourself and read it yourself. But I can recommend this book to anybody. This is a huge, huge ovulation book. Definitely read this when you're ovulating. It's not like super crazy. I will say the spice is probably like a 3 chili pepper compared to like, I don't know, I want to say more like 2. Like it's not open, it's not closed door, but it's not like super graphic in my opinion compared to like, I don't know, the Losers Duet or the fucking Cat and Mouse Duet. Like that shit is very, 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 very graphic. Compared to this, it's more like young adult. Not like YA, but like new adult. Like I just turned 18. I don't really know how to, what smut is, but like I'm trying to dip my toes in, you know what I'm saying? So highly recommend these 2 books. I'm so I don't know. These books have just been in my brain since last November, and I just figured it's time to talk about it with you guys. I do apologize for how long I've been yapping. I don't even know how long it's been at this point. I'll check later when I close off my phone for the recording of the day. But yeah, if you've read these books, go ahead and let me know how you felt about them in the comments below. If you haven't already, what the heck are you doing? Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss when I upload a brand new video, hopefully every Saturday. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.